Hello, good people of the internet. Back again with another video. I thought I would show today some stuff. No records. So yeah, go ahead, close it. Okay, go ahead and click it closed. See you later. See you next time. But recently, I say recently, and it's been about 2 months ago, I did have the opportunity to go to Chicago and see the Grateful Dead 50th anniversary Fairly Well tour. So I figured I would talk about it, show some ephemera from the 3 days for posterity's sake. So it was a good time. I went with some of my closest friends and family members, my brother, and of course Sam. And Jerry, Catfisher73. I'm not sure if he still makes videos on YouTube or not. I don't think he does. So, but it didn't really we didn't hook up with anybody in the the vinyl community, whatever it may be. But it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. Just 3 amazing days. The first day, well, I'll show you this first piece. There was a sort of a merch truck that I think it was Dead.net had kind of set up, and they were in different parts, and they would tweet where they were at, and you could go and buy limited edition merchandise. They had cool stuff that you could only get there at the for the concerts. But they gave these out, which this was available as a PDF online on their website for a while. It's the official Deadheads Guide to Chicago. It's this nice little map that was sort of all the sort of Grateful Dead things related that was going on. There was stuff with like Burton snowboards, Under Armour. Of course, Dogfish had the American Beauty Ale, and they kind of list the different places where you could get it. We did also go to Giordano's, which is the deep dish pizza, Chicago style, which, it is what it is. I can't necessarily say that I'm a fan. It's a lasagna. Let's be honest. It's a lasagna that's in a pizza crust. But we did that. They had like a limited edition pizza box that had the Grateful Dead logo on it. If you follow me on various social media outlets, you got to see several pictures of that. So it was a cool little piece that they gave. It has all these different places, sort of where the Grateful Dead played. Some of the different shows, like their Wall of Sound show, and just the different things that they did. The UIC Pavilion. I'll let that focus there for a second. Sorry, I'm still kind of getting over a cold here. International Amphitheater, things like that. So that was a neat little treat. So first day, we were actually directly behind the stage. We were row 16, so we were about 16 rows back, and you can see the tickets. We got a 3-day pass, $60 a ticket. So we were pretty much directly behind the stage, looking down. So I'm sure, more than likely, if you do happen to buy the DVD and the CD set, all that good stuff that's coming out, there's a good chance that you'll see Jerry on July 4th, because he wore the brightest green T-shirt that I've ever seen in my entire life. But it's very cool. That's a cool little foil kind of safety thing there, with the little Grateful Dead bear silhouettes. They also gave out a program. So the program for the first day, this is the July 3rd program. We'll let that focus. Or not. Come on. There we are. the first one had kind of the stuff, pictures and things like that from the Santa Clara shows. There was an advertisement for the Other One documentary on Netflix. Just different things for, different companies that sort of sponsored the printing of this. The cool thing was in the very back of it has, each one of them were like this. It has the tonight's set list, and you could write in there and put that in your tape. So let me review to you some of the tunes. So they opened up with Box of Rain, which was kind of surprising. Really the whole vibe, like when we were getting there, it just sort of seemed like this big anticipation, and when the first thing came on, just, everybody was dancing, and it was fantastic. Jack Straw into Bertha, Passenger, The Wheel, Crazy Fingers, and The Music Never Stopped for the last song of the first set. They kicked off the second set, and this was just insane. They started with Mason's Children, which really they kind of stopped playing that. I think maybe 1969 was kind of the last time that they played that. It was sort of the Grateful Dead song that just really couldn't get together. It was a weird song. The lyrics are just kind of weird, and just the vibe of it's just a real kind of garage rock sort of thing. And then they played Scarlet Begonias into Fire on the Mountain, which went into Drums in Space. Came out of Drums in Space with New Potato Caboose, playing in the band, Let It Go. And then they played Help on the Way, Slipknot, Franklin's Tower, which was just insanity after they already played Scarlet Begonias and Fire on the Mountain, in my opinion. And then they came out and they ended with Ripple. So even the first night, I was really just blown away. I thought Ripple was going to be the very last song they were going to play on Sunday night. And it just really, after that first night, we were just really anticipating, hey, what are they going to play tomorrow? So, but really there was just this vibe. Like I said, it was like you're on another planet. And, to quote a phrase, strangers stopping strangers just to shake their hands. I mean, that was sort of you saw these people walking around, Grateful Dead shirts and kind of giving each other, a little nod here and there. So July 4th, same seats, same location. So these were all kind of the 3-day pass. July 4th was, we already kind of knew what we were in store for, so we kind of came anticipating, the whole vibe was, seeing the Great American Band on, America's Greatest Day, July 4th, was really cool, and Soldier Field was sort of lit up red, white, and blue, which it may be always that way, I'm not sure, but, so that day, started with Shakedown Street, went into Liberty, which was a song they played maybe in the late 90s or early 90s, I'd say, toward late end of their kind of career, maybe like 93 to 94 or 5. Didn't really play that song that much. It was one of the songs that I've read that was pegged to go on the next Grateful Dead album that never happened. Standing on the Moon, Me and My Uncle, which, you can't have a Grateful Dead a live show without Me and My Uncle. Most played Grateful Dead song, by the way, for any trivia buffs there. Live Grateful Dead song. Tennessee Jed, Cumberland Blues, Little Red Rooster, Friend of the Devil. And they ended it with Deal, I believe. I'll have to look at this. I wasn't not 100% sure where this set ended. And then Birdsong, Golden Road to Unlimited Devotion, Lost Sailor into Satan's Circumstance, West LA Fadeaway, which I believe they kind of did a teaser. Here we are. We're really getting nerdy here. We're Jerry's just texted me. Hey Jerry, he just texted me. Jerry just texted me a picture of his record collection. I'm not sure what I was saying. They kind of did a teaser for that the night before. Jerry and I were kind of looked at each other and we were like, hey, they're playing West LA Fadeaway. And then went into Foolish Heart, Drums in Space, Stella Blue, and of course One More Saturday Night. It was Saturday night, had to play that. And then there was, Fireworks and they played U.S. Blues to close it off. So again, happy 4th of July there. That was a very the 4th of July was not, I like the first night, I like the last night, the second night. I mean, there were some moments, but I don't feel it had, if you got to choose one that's not as, good as the other ones, it would have been July 4th. So here is the program from the July 4th show, which actually has a picture from the July 3rd show, and we were probably right about there, I'd say, maybe somewhere in here, right about there. That's where we were sitting. And again, same kind of thing. Bill Walton was there. Jerry and I kept playing, Where's Bill? Every night we'd kind of see him because he was standing way above the crowd. He was always about maybe 17, 18 rows back or so from the stage. So again, more of the shots from the previous night. It's amazing to think because they had these printed up the next day. So within 24 hours, these were printed and passed out the show. Of course, here's the fourth night. Here's the set 1, set 2, little encore. So got a little banged up on that one. Actually, just rewinding just a tad here. Here was the Chicago Tribune. I picked that up there. It was front page on the Saturday. Deadhead's grateful. Slow news day, probably, for Chicago. So one thing that they did have, before I get into the last day here and kind of finish this wild ride up, they did have something called Participants Row, which was sort of all the kind of nonprofits and conscious charities, the Grateful Dead related kind of things. And if you signed up, you got these limited edition postcards. My brother got me an extra one. But there was several in the set. He has the whole set. I just really couldn't be bothered to, when they were playing the intermission and all that, I just was kind of just enjoying the vibe. But these were actually going on when people would put these up on eBay and, we're going for a couple of nickels. This is one of the little doodads that they gave you at the Grateful Dead thing. 30 Trips Around the Sun. It actually comes out next week, 1 week from today. This will be in stores. The 4 CD box set. I don't know why this is not focusing today. The 4 CD box set will be like a best of from 1966 to 1995. One live show from each concert. The big box set is like 80 CDs with 30 full shows. So a very cool thing. And of course a Fare Thee Well sticker. Some very cool stuff from the show. The complete Chicago experience. That'll come out, I think, around in November. I did pre-order it because, to me, this was sort of the final chapter in the, the Grateful Dead history. When the history books are written of the Grateful Dead, this is the final chapter. So here we are. So here's the July 5th. July 5th was probably my favorite show. This is just annoying. Sorry, there's not really too much anything special. Row 16. This is actually, you get the seat 17, whatever. Again, we got $60 for a ticket. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but my one friend that I actually did a radio show with when I was in college, I ran into him. He had a ticket for, was it the last night? No, it was the last night. And he paid like $200 or something like that. It was really a lot of money. All right, so here we are, the final night. The program that was taken from the Drums in Space from the night before. Again, more of the same. Seen and heard. There's actually quite a few pages to this. There's an advertisement for the show CD box set. And there's stuff in there about the Rex Foundation. There's a 3-part story and the set list sticker for the final night. So again, the last night is kind of is probably my favorite. And my one pal that I work with, he's a really big fish head, and he likes the Dead, so he's the Fish guy, I'm the Grateful Dead guy, and we sort of mesh now and again when we can. And he told me, he's like, you never miss a Sunday. You never miss a Sunday anytime you see a band play, because the Sunday show is always, an awesome one. And he was right. So the last night, so they opened with, of course, China Cat, Sunflower, and I Know You Rider, probably by far one of my favorite Dead tunes, combination Dead tunes. The next song they played was Estimated Prophet, which Estimated Prophet sort of holds a place in my heart because the very first Grateful Dead album that I ever owned was Terrapin Station. I had it on a cassette tape. So the very first piece of music that I ever heard by the Grateful Dead was Estimated Prophet, because that was the first song on that cassette tape. So again, kind of a very awesome kind of thing. Built to Last, Samson Under Delilah, so we get 2 songs off of Terrapin Station. Mountains in the Moon, Throwing Stones, so off of In the Dark. And then they did some fireworks, I think just kind of whatever they had left over from the previous night. And for the second set, they came out with Trucking and went into Cassidy. Again, another favorite one, was probably the standout track for me off of the Reckoning album. It was kind of my first introduction to that song. They played Althea, which of course is off of Go to Heaven, which is the second album that I owned of theirs, and then just into a fantastic Terrapin Station, which took us into Drums in Space. Came out playing Unbroken Chain, which I think they only played maybe 4 times total. And they played Days Between, which probably was the only bum note of that entire. It was kind of a long, meandering sort of thing. And then Not Fade Away, which sort of ended with everybody just cheering, Love is Love and Not Fade Away, for 2-3 minutes at least before the band came out. You can hear it a little bit on like the Sirius recordings of it, and it'll be interesting to hear how it comes out on the official version. But to me, it was just like it just kept, that stadium just kept going and going and going and going. And so then they come back. Phil kind of comes out, and he sort of did this thing every night, talking about, he had a liver transplant, and he was talking about organ donation and things like that. They did that every night. Come out and they played Touch of Grey, which sort of got everybody into a frenzy. And then they played Addicts of My Life, which was just like a complete like tearjerker, because they showed at the very end, there was sort of like, as they were singing, everybody's on their feet, and the screens were showing like all the people that have ever been in the Grateful Dead, sort of, like Keith, and then they get to Jerry, and everybody's going crazy, and then Brent, and everyone's was cheering, and they showed Bob, and then they showed Trey and Jeff and Bruce Hornsby, and everybody's still cheering, and it's just like at the very end they sort of showed a black and white photo of like it was this picture here, just sort of them as what it was, and it was just like the perfect ending, and that was that, and Jerry's still texting me, and it was just a fantastic, just the whole experience was just crazy. It was something that I won't soon forget for sure. So thanks for spending 20 minutes to enjoy this sort of rambly thing. If you have any comments or whatever, feel free to leave them, and I'll try to respond back. I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. So thanks for everybody that long time watchers, first time commenters, things like that. So see you later.